Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends, wives, and especially your boyfriends and your husbands. A very warm welcome to Movies TV Mad and Monday's edition of the DCU Daily. You can follow me on X Twitter at Movies TV Mad and on Instagram and on Threads at Movies TV Mad, X on Snapchat BMouth60 and on TikTok Mad Mickey's World. So let's go, everyone. Let's get on with today's video. How did it come to this? How did it come to this where Warner Brothers is going to be sold or merged with another studio? As we wait and see what's going to happen. Are Paramount and Warner Brothers Discovery going to merge? Is Netflix going to buy DC Comics? Who the fuck knows at this point? Major bidding war, but my fear is that Zaslav may chop up Warner Brothers and its assets like a cake and sell it off piece by piece. It's something that no DC fan should really want. But how did we get to this? It's simple. The way they treated Zack Snyder destroyed the image of their company. You can't have someone make a Justice League movie, drive him out, use the tragic death of the man's daughter, and then recycle the man's movie and expect people to have any consumer confidence within you. We all saw what Justice League was. No company can put out a movie like Justice League and then be taken seriously, right? It was crazy that the movie after Justice League was Aquaman, which made over $1 billion. Imagine that. That movie had to be good. You know, everyone thought that movie was going to be destroyed financially because of Justice League. But somehow their next movie was successful. That was insane. Even Shazam, as very little it brought back, made a profit because of how little the budget, the production budget, and the marketing budget was for that movie. Thereafter, it was an absolute disaster. From the moment Zack Snyder left, basically, after those two movies, right, they had a good start. Hamada had a good start, but then his way of doing things, not having a plan, not having an arc, just having a franchise that makes individual movies. And don't get me wrong, I kind of want individual movies and individual takes. I don't think the DCU should exist. But because the movies were so bland and uninteresting and not very good, we got flop after flop after flop. So really from the moment Zack left, you know, their idea was Snyder goes, we start making money. How did that fucking work out for you? Not very well. The reason their company is in so much trouble because it was a company of the auteur. Big budgets, small budgets, getting someone in, a visionary, to make something. Tim Burton, Todd Phillips, Christopher Nolan. All that's gone out the window now. The auteur doesn't seem to be welcome at Warner Brothers Discovery anymore. You can argue that Matt Reeves and the Batman, well, it wasn't exactly something that Zaslav implemented. Matt Reeves was there with the other leadership. He was, you know, they brought him in to do the Batman. And, you know, Ben Affleck's the Batman was replaced by Matt Reeves, the Batman. And I know that's a very sore subject to all of these Snyder fans out there. And I'm kind of split on it. I've said before, what would I have rather seen? Would I be willing to lose the Batman from Matt Reeves to get Ben Affleck's the Batman? Yes. That was going to be a fucking awesome movie. Awesome. We pretty much know what that movie was going to be about, and it was going to be amazing. Ben Affleck gets Batman. And we lost out, didn't we? We lost out big time by losing Zack Snyder. And that's what dented this company. So, they drove Snyder away. They then merged with AT&T. Didn't work. Then with Discovery, didn't work. And now again, they're talking now, the new information now is they're looking maybe to merge with Paramount, which is not something I want. I want a clean sale. Because if Discovery and Paramount merge, Warner Brothers Discovery, then there's a chance Zaslav's still involved and Gunn's still involved. We want Gunn gone. He can make DC movies, but he can't be in charge of DC. That's a disaster. I wouldn't put James Gunn in charge of garbage collection at a company, let alone co-CEO of DC Studios. They have brought this on themselves. This is not a moment of celebration. This is not a victory march for David Zaslav. You failed, Mr. Zaslav. You failed, Mr. Emmerich. You failed, Mr. Johns. You failed. 100-year-old fucking company that used to make great movies with great people, led by great CEOs who actually understood the industry they were working in. This is not a moment of celebration because they're selling this. And WB may be swallowed up and the name WB may not even be out there anymore. That's a tragedy. I grew up watching Looney Tunes. Bugs Bunny was my favourite cartoon character. You know, the WB logo used to come up, yeah? It was their insignia. When you thought Warner Brothers, you thought Bugs Bunny, didn't you? For that to disappear, it's an absolute tragedy, everyone. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. This is sad. But this modern leadership of Hollywood and these studios have sunk something beautiful. Hollywoodland, as it was called when they first, conceived the idea of making entertainment in one town, was a great conceit. Beautiful. Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd, Charlie Chaplin, Laurel and Hardy. Beautiful, beautiful, talented people that distracted people from their problems, especially in that Depression era. I've spoken about The Wizard of Oz before, doing that as well. Little kids used to go to the cinema and not have to pay for a ticket. Different times, folks, but times have changed. We are a divided human race ever since Trump got into power. He's divided us all. He's made us haters. And if it's not about politics, it's about Snyder versus Gunn. We're all divided. And on all my platforms today, I'm integrating a sentence. 2 words. Choose love. Every time someone tries to divide and conquer you, choose love. Step away from the left, step away from the right. Step away from the Gunn or Snyder thing. Step away for a minute. Doesn't mean you're not Team Snyder or Team Gunn. It means step away from it for a minute. Step away from the discourse and the hatred and agree to disagree with your fellow fans, your fellow political advocate, your friends or randoms who don't agree politically the same as you. I'm reminded of Wonder Woman 2017 in that beautiful final act that some people claim is a bad third act, but it's beautiful. It's that moment, isn't it, when Steve Trevor dies and Wonder Woman is absolutely, distraught. And Ares is manipulating her hatred. And it's working. Until there's that flashback and she remembers her final conversation with Steve Trevor. It's at that moment she resists from killing her enemy, Dr. Poison, and chooses love. As she says, only love can save the world. And right now we're divided. We are divided. And we must choose love. Warner Brothers didn't choose love when they decided to get rid of Snyder and use his daughter's tragedy to their advantage. They weren't choosing love, but they're a trillion-dollar entity. People who take the sides of trillion-dollar entities, right, and false fucking prophets, right, like David Zaslav or James Gunn, all millionaires, or people who are sucked in by false prophets like Andrew Tate or Elon Musk, who's advocating for a civil war in the UK. Why would anyone support someone once they say things like that? It's beyond me, the world we live in today. And the prime example is the divide between us DC fans. Everything is divided. There's division everywhere I look. And it doesn't have to be if we choose love. Zack Snyder probably is choosing love. Choosing Zack Snyder probably is choosing love. He loves directing. He loves the beautiful art of putting beauty on the screen. That is choosing love. And Warner Brothers drove that out of their company. So this is why they brought themselves to this situation where they're having to merge or sell up yet again. It's been a good year for Warner Brothers. But when you're hemorrhaging money, it doesn't matter how much money you bring in, they can't keep track of the debt. They're in so much shit. This is why they have to sell. But I ask myself, when they sell, is that going to be a solution to the problem that we have with DC? Because right now, I'm underwhelmed by DC. I was underwhelmed by Superman and Creature Commandos. And Peacemaker, the first season was quite good. And I haven't seen Peacemaker 2, but I'm not excited. I was excited by the Snyderverse. It was epic. Comic book movies should be fucking epic and exciting and beautiful to look at. When you look at Snyder movies, that's the way I imagine a comic book, especially a DC comic book, coming to life. And we lost that beauty. We lost that art. Warner Brothers decided to turn their backs on art. And that's how they sunk their company. Because as I said on the top of the show, you can't give the public something like Justice League and then expect consumer confidence in return. You can't make a movie like The Flash and expect consumer confidence. They made that movie, then they lied that it was one of the best movies in the genre. They lied that Tom Cruise loved that movie. Probably with Tom's permission. Because they were probably working out some kind of negotiation with Tom. Because a few months later, we realised that Tom was going to start doing stuff with Warner Brothers. I don't know what's going on there. I think they may have had a disagreement or something. Very strange situation in itself. Once you keep on testing the consumer, because the consumer is very sophisticated, especially today. You can't pull the wool over our eyes, as much as they try. And Justice League was a moment of them trying to pull the wool over our eyes. Everyone had claimed in the media and on social media that everyone wanted bright colours and bad gags. But if that's the case, everyone, because what you got to remember is the big mouths on the internet are not the real people that go to the cinema. And if you look at the box office for the remaining DCEU movies, for Superman, why didn't Superman make $2 billion if all people want is bright colours and bad gags? Aquaman made $1 billion because it was an epic fucking movie. That movie was epic. It was colourful, but it was epic. Shazam barely made anything with bright colours and bad gags, but it's a solid movie. I think it's okay. But it didn't make much money, did it? And then every single other DCEU movie didn't make much money. In fact, they flopped. Yeah. So if everyone wants bright colours and bad gags, why didn't the Hamadaverse make $1 billion a fucking picture? Because that's not what people want. People want their emotions heightened. Yes, it's okay to have jokes, good, funny jokes that fit into the story. It's okay to be compelling, dark and serious at the right times. That's what Snyder was able to do. Because the reality is, after Aquaman, they were never able to equal the box office of Man of Steel with the remaining DCEU movies, or Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice, or Aquaman, or Wonder Woman, or even David Ayer's Suicide Squad. That's Snyderverse. Now, I know Aquaman really isn't Snyderverse, but James Wan is a great director and he proved it. He did that impossible. He did the impossible with that picture. It was fucking epic. And I'll defend Aquaman to anyone to my end of days. But when you lose those epic movies and that scope and scale, you're not going to make money. It's fine to make quiet, small movies. That's fine, they don't have to be epic. But when you're making comic book movies, it needs to feel like an event. And comic book movies haven't felt like an event since Zack Snyder left DC.